Yeah, in Bakersfield, we've done, this will be our 17th 40 days, wow. And we do round the clock on site 24 hours a day, and that's what we've done from the very beginning. We have ties here. We had moved to Tehachapi, and we sidewalk counsel, and like you said, we've been involved for about 30 years at the same, it's the only abortion clinic within 190 miles of Bakersfield, Family Planning Association. We, whenever this was, like 20 years ago, we started doing Lancaster.
Almost 20, 1997.
Palmdale.
Wow. 1997.
Yeah. Out there by the post office on Palmdale Boulevard, which is now, I guess, still a pregnancy center.
Actually, a year or so ago, they moved from that building to a closer to where our site is now at the Planned Parenthood. So they're not in that building. I think it's still open. I don't think anybody's taken over it since then. But yeah.
Well, it was just a little abortion clinic there, and there was a group of Catholics that would go there, but they were afraid, the police said, well, you can't be near here and stuff, and so they prayed across the street or far away and stuff, and so when we came, they were going, who are these people, and what are they doing, and the police show up, and we're telling the police we have a right to be on the sidewalk, and they're just standing in awe, going, wow. And so there's this one lady that always says, she kept us out of jail, because she just was so amazed that we were able to say, and then after we were able to come for about 6 months, God used that to close the doors. So we got to be a part of that, and that was neat when we got to actually go in the room where they killed the babies and changed it to the ultrasound room. So it was really neat. And so, we had high hopes. We went back to Bakersfield and we're going, yes, and we're still in Bakersfield.
There's a saying that those who can do, and those who can't teach. And I'm sorry, Lamar.
I've heard that.
I didn't even think of you when
I've heard that.
When I decided to start with this. This is nothing against Lamar, but it is something about me because I'm up here teaching all of this stuff, and the honest truth, right off the bat, let me let you know that I am not, in terms of implementing this stuff, in terms of being that person who's out there dealing with it, I'm not the best one out there. I'm not even second string. I'm the person who's kind of helping them do what they need to do. Nevertheless, I kind of, as the administrator of this whole ministry, I kind of see the forest when they're dealing with the trees. So in that sense, spiritually, I'm kind of like the pastor there, where I'm seeing what's going on. I'm understanding what works and what doesn't work. And I hope you'll see that scripturally, I've really gone deep with this. And nevertheless, there are times that even a second string person like me can be useful. And even I feel like even though I'm not real great in this ministry, I will say in all humility, and you may think that this is not humility at all, but I will say in all humility that I have already received a crown for this. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's not hyperbole at all. I was playing second string one morning at the start of the abortion day in Bakersfield. Terri was pregnant. We have 11 kids, and all but one of the kids were born during our ministry years. The first child was born before our ministry years started, and all the others were born during our ministry years. So there's been a lot of pregnancy, nursing, back and forth, nursing and pregnant at the same time throughout these decades of ministry.
I've been with you a few times.
Yeah, and ladies, with pregnancy comes sometimes you just feel like, I just can't do it today. And this was one of those mornings for Terri that I think she was 7 months maybe, and she just said, I'm sorry, I just can't do it today. Can you go out there? And so, okay, I'm out there by myself. So this couple comes first thing in the morning, and they're heading up the stairs, and I say the normal things that we say to them. God has a plan for you and your baby. And this guy, in Bakersfield, they have to go in by walking across the balcony. And so he goes up the stairs across the balcony. Then he looks down the balcony from me and says, do you want me to come down there and explain something to you? And the way he said it, I knew that he wanted to do his explaining with his fist. And I responded, I'm not always the best person with the most gracious response, but thankfully God gave me a lot of grace in that moment, and I responded very graciously saying, yes, I would like that very much. Very sweetly and softly. And so he storms down the stairs, comes after me. He says, do you know what a tubal pregnancy is? I said, yeah, I know what a tubal pregnancy is, but they don't deal with that here. He says, no, we've been to 3 doctors, and they all say that she needs to go here to have this tubal pregnancy dealt with. I said, wait, just go up the stairs and ask them, do you deal with tubal pregnancy here? They do not deal with tubal pregnancy. You have to be in the hospital for a tubal pregnancy. And so finally I convinced this guy to go up there, because he was saying, we want this baby. I make enough money, I could have 15 children if I want to. But we can't have this baby. So he goes up there, talks to me. Is it true you don't handle tubal pregnancies here? I say, yeah, that's true. He says, we're out of here. So they go out. By the time they come out, Terri had made it out. She probably 45 minutes later, 30 minutes, something like that, she was out there. And so I told her what was going on. So they come out, and she's out there. I'm gone by this time. And they talk to her and say, can we get a second opinion? She gets them in, second opinion, ultrasound, all this. They go get the ultrasound, come back and say, everything's fine. Baby's in the womb. It's all normal, not in the tubes. And they say, that was your husband that was here earlier? What was his name? Because we would like, if this baby's a boy, we'd like to name the baby after him. And she said, well, his name's Tim. And they said, oh, well, okay. Well, we hope it's a girl. Well, about 7 months after, I think that was August when they came in, and I think it was February when we were, I think it was actually around Valentine's Day again that time, that we were out there praying. If any of you have ever seen the people with the life tape across their mouth, Lou Engel's people, the Bound for Life, they call it, they pray out there with duct tape across it, usually red duct tape across their mouth that says life on it. And it's just, I think it's a way of forcing people to say, you're going to pray, you're not going to be talking to each other, you're just going to pray. And so we were doing one of these Bound for Life things out there. Everybody's got duct tape, everybody's out there just lying around praying. This couple walks up with a baby in a stroller. They look familiar. It was the same couple that I had met out there, and they said, here's our baby. Here's little Lorenzo Timothy.
Wow.
And so they couldn't quite handle Timothy as a first name, but it was the middle name. And so I said, well, do you know what Timothy means? And he said, no, I don't. And I said, well, it means honoring God. And he said, and I said, do you know what Lorenzo means? And he said, no. I said, well, I don't know either. I'm going to find out. Well, I looked up the meaning of the word Lorenzo. It's a laurel or a wreath presented to the winner of a race. It's like the crown that Jesus gives us. So Lorenzo Timothy is a crown honoring Jesus. So when I say that I've already received a crown, that is not hyperbole. I literally have received that crown. So that is
who told them that it was a tubal pregnancy?
That's
what I want. I would sue that person.
Well, they originally had said they were going to sue.
I don't think you have it here. I think there may be one in Rosamond, because they are quite a bit spread out, but a place called Clinica Sierra Vista. They deal with low-income people a lot. And we've seen that's not the first time. We've seen a number of times Clinica Sierra Vista has totally lied to women. And I think frankly, it's just a doctor looking at somebody saying kind of a stereotype. In this case, the guy said they make a lot of money, so it wasn't a financial thing. But I think the doctor just looked and said, oh, these Hispanic people don't need another baby. Well, we believe what we're doing is sharing good news with the women and children, and in the case that I talked to you about, and the father of those going into the abortion chamber. We're there sharing good news to them. And so that's what we're here to learn. We're here to learn how to proclaim good news to pregnant women and children. I think it's so important for us right from the very foundation to put it in that context. This is good news. We're not against them. We're not trying to harm them. We're not trying to harm anybody. We're trying to help everybody. We're there to proclaim good news to them. That's why we call it pregnancy evangelism, because evangel is another word for gospel, and gospel means good news. And so we call this pregnancy evangelism. Obviously, we use that in a Christian sense. Our whole ministry is Christian-based, scriptural-based. When we say pregnancy evangelism, it doesn't necessarily always mean we're going to pray the sinner's prayer with this person. It sometimes does lead to that. But it's the same kind of evangelism that the Good Samaritan had when he was on the road to Jericho. This kind of evangelism is an evangelism that says, hey, there's somebody in need. I'm going to be there to help them through this. And as St. Francis said, you preach the gospel all the time, and you use words when you have to. So there's a way that we can just live the gospel out through our lives, and people will say, well, why are you doing this? Why are you here to help us? And that's where we come in. But we do this whole ministry, as you'll see, is characterized as an evangelistic way to bring people into the church, to bring people to Christ. So it is evangelism that we're here for, and we don't apologize for that. Even though there are pro-life ministries today who very strongly assert that a secular approach to pro-life ministry is best. It really is wrong in a society like ours to talk about God, because there's so many people out there who just don't believe in God, and we've got to reach them where they are. But Jesus said if we're ashamed of him, he's going to be ashamed of us. And we believe that if we use this approach, and we've seen it, if we use this approach, we reach people who have not been in the church at all, who have no exposure to God. And yet they need to hear that message just as much as the people who have been in the church and have backslidden. Now, there are some in the pro-life movement who go to the other extreme and say, well, we want to do scripture on everything. Everything is preaching. Everything is reading out of the Bible. And we don't go to that extreme either. Scripture is the basis of everything we're doing, and we use it when we need to, but it's not something that we're always saying chapter and verse here. It's the foundation and the lifeblood of everything we're trying to do. And another thing to note there, too, in terms of our whole ministry approach, that the Bible says that his word shall not return void. And so when we use his word, we understand that there is a tangible result that's going to come from that. Well, when we talk about bringing the gospel to pregnant women, we need to understand that man's good news is often not the same as God's good news. Proverbs 14:12, paraphrasing, you're probably all familiar with this verse, says, there's a way that seems right to a man, but its way ends in death. So there's a way that a man thinks, this is good news to bring people this way, and it ends in death. And it's really horrible to tell you this, but it is nevertheless true that we've experienced. That pastors, even pastors who call themselves pro-life, sometimes will sit with this woman who's aborting her baby and will say, the best thing you need to know, the good news is, you go ahead and abort this baby, God's going to forgive you. That's the kind of good news these pro-life pastors give them. Well, that is a way that seems right to a man. That's not the way that seems right to God.
Imagine the pastor telling her, go ahead and do any other sin, because God's going to forgive you. Yeah, go ahead and have sex with your boyfriend, and go ahead and steal this car, Imagine that. That's just ridiculous.
And
Well, the baby's going to go straight up to heaven. You're actually doing it a favor.
we had seen this happen before.
Yeah, same thing to you, Pastor.
We had seen this happen
Or maybe
before,
not.
but I know Lamar used to be in Calvary Chapel years ago. We used to be in Calvary Chapel years ago. We had a lot of respect for Chuck Smith, and he was a great pastor. And you see all this. Calvary Chapel has, I think, affected every church in the entire nation by what God did there. Nevertheless, a few years ago on his radio program, before Chuck Smith passed away, he had this pregnant woman call, and he said those very words to her, saying, "Well, God will forgive you if you abort this baby." She hadn't had the abortion yet. In fact, she called saying, "I don't want to do this. The doctor says I have to do this. I don't want to do this." And he said, "No, God will forgive you." So it really, really does happen. If any of you want documentation of that, I've got a lot of documentation that I'll give you. And it actually was quite a battle with them trying to get them to even. They didn't really take their words back, but they did finally go on the radio program and say, if Nikki is out there listening, we want her to know that there are people who want to help you, and please call us and we'll put you in touch with them. So, in Luke 4:18, Jesus said that when he was coming to bring good news to the poor. Jesus came focusing on the poor, on the oppressed. Jesus said, when you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me. And so the good news that Jesus is bringing is good news that directly applies to those who are the most vulnerable. The good news also deals with the whole person. The Jewish concept of peace, shalom, is a concept that involves not just an absence of conflict, but a complete righteousness, wholeness, health. That this is a state of complete well-being. That's the kind of good news that God brings to us. So when that good news comes to a pregnant woman, that good news doesn't somehow have a vacuum where her womb is. The good news extends to all of her, including within her womb. So, just in case anybody found themselves in the wrong class, I always like to say this because I when I was in college, I always had this dream that I'm in this class. And I'm thinking, I'm not supposed to be in this class. What do I do? So, in case anybody found themselves in the wrong class, we're not here to learn how to protest against abortion. We're not here to learn how to work for laws against abortion. We're not here to learn how to educate our community about abortion. We're not here to learn how to elect pro-life candidates. Those are all great things, important things we have to do, things that must be done, but we're here to learn how to evangelize women who are considering abortion. And I will say, with all humility, that I honestly believe that this task of pregnancy evangelism is the essential thing that enables all of those other pro-life functions to be effective. If a pro-life politician is saying he wants to stop abortion, but he doesn't think there should be people helping the women going in for abortions today, there's something about that just is inconsistent. If people are out educating the community about abortion and they don't think people should be there trying to reach the women going in today, there's something wrong with that. Pregnancy evangelism gives integrity to the rest of the pro-life movement. We're just one part of the body, but we're an essential part of the body. Without this function, the rest of the pro-life movement loses credibility because, well, what are you doing about the babies dying right now? And because of us, the pro-life movement can say, look, there are people reaching these women. Every time the abortions are going on, there are people there. But as I've already said, we see within the pro-life movement, unfortunately, that within our own movement, people tend to go to one extreme or the other. And one of the biggest aspects of this is that people tend to focus on either the mother or the baby. Now, those who focus on the mother might be saying, here are your options. We know you're pregnant. You don't want to be pregnant. here are your options. Your options are to parent the baby, or to give up the baby for adoption, or to abort.
Monica. Yes.
Monica Corbett! Hey!
Hi, Monica.
You got my
I
message?
was talking about her.
Dang. I just responded to her email. If you saw me texting, it's because she.
She was trying to find the room.
I guess.
Probably,
Thank you.
yeah.
It's good to see you.
You guys sit down here, she can sit.
Here, you want to sit right
Can I
here?
do a little bragging?
Sure.
Sure.
This couple is responsible, I'll have to get more of these, really, for saving 926 babies in the Antelope Valley. Not kidding at all. And that is a verified count, okay? They helped us stay out of jail because they knew
We heard that story.
they knew what to tell the police when they come up and
I wasn't
What are you
lying.
doing
How
here?
did I
There
know
you
she
go,
was
see?
even coming? Thank you.
I just saw it on my internet. So otherwise I would have let people know earlier. But you know, and I told everybody before I left home, these people deserve your support. It's absolutely amazing what they have done by stopping the abortion clinic that became a pro-life clinic. And I'll bring more of these, but this 926 babies, since they helped us close the abortion clinic, is a verified count. So it's amazing what they have done. Absolutely.
All right, there you go.
They know what they're doing.
All right.
Anyway.
Thank you for coming, Monica. You can sit there, Monica. And for all that you know, Monica
This is
is
for
she's a
Elijah,
member.
isn't it?
She's a member of the Antelope Valley Respect Life Committee.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So if you are following along in your notes, all we have done is the first blank there, which is we are here to learn how to proclaim good news to pregnant women and children. Now, as I was saying when just moments before Monica came in, we all in the pro-life movement tend to go to one extreme or the other. And one of the ways we see this the most is that some people tend to focus on the mother and other people tend to focus on the baby. Now, the people who focus on the mother, they want to reach her, and with all compassion, they come to her and say, look, here are your options. You can parent the baby, you can give the baby up for adoption, or you can choose abortion. And they present those, that these are all your valid choices. Those who focus on just the baby, if they are dealing with a pregnant mom who's going in for abortion, a lot of times they will just lay into her. And they will say, shame on you. How can you be coming into this place to kill your child? That's an innocent baby, and you are a slut and a murderer, and call them all kinds of names, because what kind of person could kill a little baby? Well, they're just focusing on the baby. But I think the other people are just as wrong when they say abortion is one of your options. We don't apologize by saying the kind of methods that we use to approach women. We don't apologize whether we're on the street or in a pregnancy center. Abortion is not an option that we're going to give you. If God's people are not going to be clear, you know, the Bible says if the trumpet does not sound a distinct sound, who's going to respond to that call to war? It is up to us as God's people to be distinct and clear on these things. And if we are telling these vulnerable women that abortion is one of your options, we've seen it again and again. And a lot of you probably know this line, sadly, comes from a lot of pro-life pregnancy centers. And we see women that they end up being turnarounds out on the sidewalk, and we say, well, we want to get you into this pregnancy center. And they say, oh, yeah, I was there. I already was there. Because the pregnancy center told them abortion is an option. Well, I'm sorry, I don't believe God called us to give them that option. So we need to focus on both the mother and baby. Those are the next blanks down there. Mother and baby. And when we say that we need to do both, that we need to avoid both of these extremes, what we're saying is we need to hold on to two things that seem to contradict each other. When you look at a 13-year-old pregnant girl, it seems like, well, you know, you got to either be for her and try to get her out of this situation, or for the baby. You can't really be for both. Well, again, we don't apologize for saying you can be for both of them. Another way that we see these extremes in the pro-life movement is some people want to focus on the truth, and other people want to focus on love. The people who are focusing on the truth, they will be outside these abortion chambers, unapologetically saying, and they promote this message very strongly, especially in the last few years on the internet, unapologetically saying to the mothers going in, you're murderers. You're murdering your babies. And they have many videos and things like that on the internet trying to recruit more people into this effort of saying, well, we're focusing on the truth. Well, there are other people who want to focus on the love, and they want to say, Jesus loves you no matter what you're going to do. And as we've already explained, pastors who will tell women, if you go ahead and abort your baby, God's going to forgive you. Well, both of those extremes are wrong. We need to speak the truth in love, and that's what Ephesians 4:15 says, and those are the next two entries on your sheet there. We can't choose truth or love. Speaking the truth in love, we're to grow up into him who's the head, even Christ. That's what Ephesians 4:15 says. Speaking the truth in love. So that doesn't give us a choice to leave truth out or to leave love out.
Right. You can't say, well, I can't be a mother. I'm sorry, you're already a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have a baby. You already have a baby.
Yeah.
The truth is, you already have a baby. You're already a mother. And the question is, are you going to have a live baby or a dead baby? Because that's what abortion gives you, a dead baby.
We must also proclaim God's justice and mercy. In Matthew 23:23, Jesus talking about the Pharisees, he says, you know, he had a lot of things to say against the Pharisees, but in Matthew 23:23, he's saying, you need to understand and follow what they're saying about justice, but you need to also add mercy to what they're saying. Well, the person who just proclaims justice in the pro-life movement is the person who's going to say to a woman going in for abortion, you're going to hell. The person who just wants mercy for the woman going in for abortion, this is the type of person that we see often, and they say, well, I'm against abortion, but my friend said, I need a ride, I'm going to have an abortion tomorrow, so can you give me a ride to go in for my abortion? And so I brought my friend in here, and I'm going to be there for my friend through all this. I told her, I'm against abortion, but I'm going to be there for you through all this. And I'm going to keep those people from bothering you. I'm going to keep you from having to hear what they have to say on the sidewalk out there, because you don't need to hear that. You've already made your decision. It was hard enough. Why do those people want to make it harder on you? Well, that's the person that just focuses on mercy. Again, we can't make that choice. We've got to proclaim God's justice and mercy. And the thing we've got to do here is to understand that this isn't like, okay, we're going to balance this. We're going to balance mother and baby. We're going to balance truth and love. We're going to have some truth here. We're going to have some love here. 50% of this, 50% of that. No. What we're talking about is 100% truth, 100% love, 100% being there for the mom, 100% being there for the baby. It's not balancing it. It's not trading off. It's not doing a comparison of saying, well, how can we throw the mom a little bone here if she saves her baby? It's understanding. You got to understand in your heart that when you're talking to these women, you got to know in your heart, when you're dealing with a 13-year-old victim of incest or whatever it is, you got to know in your heart that what you're doing is good for the mom. This is, and we know this not because we say so. We know this because we dealt with both sides, women who have saved their babies, who come back to us later saying, thank you so much. This is the best thing that ever happened to me, that I had this baby. And it just seemed like such a horrible situation at the time she was pregnant. We've also seen the women who aborted their babies saying, I wish I had listened to you. I wish I had done that. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So we've got to get that solidly in our hearts to understand that this is the best for the mom and the baby, no matter what the circumstances are. How do we really know that God loves us. How did God show his love for us?
Gave his son for us.
Well, we know that he sent his son to die for us. 1 John 3:16. And Romans 5:8 says that God demonstrates his love for us. And it's interesting that it uses the word demonstrates there, because people call us demonstrators a lot of times. Well, God demonstrates his love for us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And so God said, there's a problem here. I am going to go deal with this problem physically by being with them. I'm going to deal with this. So, how do we know that God loves the babies in the womb in our community? How do we know that? Well, the same way. We know that Jesus loves us because he came to be there with us. He came to sacrifice for our sins. Well, God demonstrates his love for the unborn babies by leading people like us to be there on the sidewalk. When we're on the sidewalk, if there is no response that day, if you don't know if anybody even paid any attention to you, nevertheless, by being there, you are a demonstration of God's love for the babies.